Hey everyone, it's November 7th, 2012, and you can tell from the bags under my eyes, we had an election last night. And we all survived. That's the good news. So, today is kind of an interesting day because I'm going to try to sell this used amp. We're doing a little cash raise here this week to fund a couple of projects. And so I'm raising some cash. And yes, Netcom, I will explain that. So what I have on offer today is a high-powered SoHo that's about 4 or 5 years old. This was a loaner at Soundcheck in Nashville. So the amp doesn't have a lot of use. It did get some use. It was used for countless award shows in Nashville, countless recording sessions, and for a lot of gigs where our artists had their gear out on tour and they needed to do a local gig, so they borrowed it. It's 4 EL84s. It has our bump on it, and it also, we have added the master voltage to it. It originally came with a reductive master volume, but we upgraded it to the master voltage, which works fantastic with 4 EL84s. And I know a lot of guys love 4 EL84s. You can also still do the half power on this. The original version had the half power, so you can cut it down to 2 tubes if you like. And Stockholm, Sweden. Wow, man, what are we up to 7 or 8 countries here today? This is great. I can do this amp in European voltage or US voltage. I have another computer over here, so if you see me just looking over here, it's not that I'm having a brain problem. Oh, I do have brain problems, but that's not what it's for. So this amp is well broken in, HMS hood. I just put some new tubes in it. We will certify it as new with a warranty, but I'm going to offer it for roughly $1,000 off the list price. And that's $2,300. Sold to the first person that sends the money to Dan at 65amps.com or messages me that they want to buy it. Sorry to be such a sales guy today, but we got a bunch of great stuff going on at 65, and I got to raise some cash. This amp was not in the flood in Nashville. Totally saved. The cabinet is A-. It's got a little flaw on the Tolex at the top, but other than that, it's in great shape. And we freshened up the vents, and it looks really new. I just can't intellectually sell it as a new amp. But it's a great 4 EL84 thing. You can hear the clean sounds I'm getting. I'll plug in a couple different guitars and you'll hear the difference as well. But if you lay into it, I've got it just on the edge of the distortion. You can get that great EL84 rhythm sound, you know. If I could play guitar, I'm really tired, sorry. You know that sound? I can't say the name, but it's Latin for voice. One of my favorite British amps. Let's get this camera situated a little better. That has numbers and letters in it. Used by the Beatles and a bunch of other people. Oasis is a big fan of these amps. So great EL84 sound. But then when you hit our bump, which is on a foot switch, I just don't have the foot switch here, I'm sorry. You get raunch out of it, which is what you don't get out of most EL84. I even hit the this little knob over here, a little switch, and get uber gain. Quite a contrast. Middle position. So our bump front end, it's the same front end that's on the Soho and the Monterey and the Stone Pony. It's an EF86 feeding into oh, I couldn't see your text here for some reason. Oh, good. Oh, gosh, I wish I would have seen this. Yeah, I will answer these questions. Yeehaw! That's a great. I love that HMS hood. Thank you. It's an EF86 is what you're plugging into when you go in the jack. Then that feeds a 12AX7 and then into a cathode follower. There's a lot of our circuitry in between those stages, but that's the basic topology of it. So you get all that detail and beautiful high-end and harmonic content. There's a gardener outside my window. Sorry for the noise. So you get all that beautiful EF86 thing. Position. So if you're into the old British thing, that's EL84s, man. Does it? Does it really well. I'll get a Strat and give you some other Beatles stuff, but you know, one of the things I always peddle is, you know, it's getting better all the time, just because it's a positive thought. I like positive thoughts, but this is loud. It's 4 EL84s. It's a loud amp. Good EL84 tone, right? JWRI9790 says, played a Soho at 555 Music in Melbourne and loved it. Nearly replaced my Stingray. Why not? What does it sound like with the tone knob rollback? Well, right now I'm over here on the treble and bass side. Let's go over the knobs. I'm sorry. That's a good point you're making there. My apologies. So right here, I'm plugged into the control grid of an EF86. Then I have a treble and bass tone stack with the bump is off. So, Josh, the tone knob, you want less chop end? Is that what you want? I'll just roll the treble off. Oh, okay, you want the guitar. You want some woman tone? Is that what you want? Here's woman tone on the neck pickup. Oops. Over here on the bump side, you can get some more woman tone. that good woman tone? Roll the tone open, still on the neck position. 767-400 says, you're using the high input and the plus or minus switch. Yes, I'm in the high input, but I have the plus or minus switch off. This is a lower gain setting, but I have the bump on. EL84s don't give a lot of clean headroom, so we put this plus or minus switch on there so you can sort of adjust it for humbuckers and single coil. With the plus or minus switch on, the humbuckers don't get real clean real loud. That's the way all EL84 amps are, AC30s, everything. So if I go down here with the bump off, oh, hi, Hessa. So I always like to, as you can tell, I like to leave the volume where I'm just on the edge of distortion. But now with humbuckers, if I hit this booster switch, it's going to get a lot dirtier. Just chime, it's just got tons of chime. And if I hit the bump, we're in some dirt. I'm saying master voltage, so I'm going to turn the voltage down, not the volume, the voltage. Clifton Bolger asked, the plus or minus switch changes the preamp bias? No. Oh, David Hayes. Hey, how are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for the nice words. No, all it's really doing is I'm changing the bypass cap on the tube and giving it full bandwidth, which stresses the tube out. So you can see I'm at half voltage now. I'm still on 4 tubes. Now I can knock this down to 2 tubes if I want, like this. And so, we're at about a 10 watt amp here right now. I still have clean sound, right? And it still sounds like that sound. Let's go back up. I'll go up to 4 tubes, 4 power tubes, and I'm going to bring the voltage back up. And you can see it's, it's louder, but it sounds the same. Good question here. Blaine B says that's a B plus voltage knockdown. Yes and no. I mean, the B plus is going down, but I'm also reducing the screen grid and the cathode proportionately. So I'm not just starving the tubes. The filaments, of course, stay hot. So what you get out of that is proper tube behavior. Because if I just drop the B plus voltage arbitrarily, the tubes are going to act really different. You won't get the same. Oops. You won't get the same behaviors. And your vocabulary changes, the distortion characteristic changes, the clean sound changes. So our master voltage actually regulates all the elements of the tube. It's a little different than power scaling. Power scaling just starves the tube. Clifton's right there with me. Power scaling drops the B plus and keeps the filaments up. But if you do simple math, just for easy math and discussion, let's say there's 100 volts on the plate and 80 volts on the screen grid. If you drop everything, so that's 80%, right? You keep your screens at 80% of your plate. If you drop everything 20 volts, then you have 80 volts on the plate and 60 volts on the screen. 60 volts is not 80% of 80. So that relationship has changed. So the tube will act different. If you change that relationship inside the tube. Frank asks, can you do the master voltage mod on an original master volume SoHo with the same OT? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Want to do a strat? Get into some single coil stuff? Professor Boul at UCLA, how about teaching a class? Oh, I'd love to. I actually speak at USC once a year, so as close as I get. Dr. Ken Lopez over there has me over once a year to speak to business students that want to get into manufacturing and in the music music basis kind of thing. Always a pleasure. USC is a fun place to go. It's such a nice campus. It's like, wow, you kids got it good. I love UCLA too. I was just there Friday night. I went and saw David Lindley and David Grisman at Royce Hall. Lindley's so pleasantly insane. If you got time, Google David Lindley Excedrin song. And it's so funny. Okay, let's do a single coil and see. Neck hum, did I compare the SoHo to the London? No, I did not. Let me do that really quickly. That's a great question. The London is 2 discrete channels that are single gain stage. They do have a pair of EL84s, but that's about where the similarity ends. One side of the London is an EF86 and the other side is a 12AX7. Those 2 channels don't really meet. On the London Pro you can join them up, but on the regular London you can't. They're just really different. Voltages are different, circuits are really different. As a matter of fact, the transformers are the same on those 2 amps. The output and power transformers they do share that because they're ones that we designed with Mercury that I think are the best EL84 transformers in the world. They're based on radio spare stuff. I had 3 different radio spares trannies from the 60s and they were all different, and we made a hybrid of all those that turned out fantastic. Unfortunately, you can't buy it unless you're with 65 amps. But they make a radio spares transformer that's really good, but it's not the one that we use. So anyway, let's do some single coil action, and hopefully I can get out of this thing without a problem. No, I'm going to take off my phones. I'll do a Strat, and I've got an Elliott Tone Master here with P90s in it, so we can do that as well. Woo! Headphone hair, headphone hair. Everybody hates their headphone hair. Doo-doo. Does that make sense, Neck? I don't know if this is in tune. Let's give it a shot and see. It's close enough. How are producer 6L6 sales going? Really well. Thank you, Frank. Got a bunch of them on order. We are busy. One of the announcements I want to make, I'll get to later, about how we're going to move our production. Here in town, we're just moving to a different place. bright. Bright, 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 nice. EF86 with those EL84s. It's such a good combination. Now, if I put the plus minus switch on, you get a little more of the same structure you'd get with a humbucker. A little bright with a Strat. This is a bright Strat too, but. So you've got your good sort of, you know. Shimmery, sparkling. If I could play guitar, it'd be great. Doing some Hendrix. I gotta channel some Hendrix. Wait a minute. I'm so out of it, man. The election just killed us all. Actually, the whole election cycle is killing everybody. We're all just fried here. We feel like we just ran a marathon, you know? I ain't got it today. Manic depression got hold of me. Let's go over to the bump. Get it in. I always remember this lick. EL84 is not the best platform for Hendrix, but I'll give it a shot. Let me turn this off a little bit over here. I'm gonna go back. Let's go back down to here and do it. Is that right? Yeah. Ah! EL84s are really different. I'm not playing today, I'm sorry. Fun, maybe some verb. A little more verb. Let's see. After all the jacks are in their boxes. You get it? Well, HMS Hood, this might be the perfect amp for you. this. A little too much echo, a little too much verb. We go to the bump. Now the bump on this is adjustable. It has 6 positions. So I'll turn the bump all the way down. And Clifton, I'll answer your question in a second. And we'll go over here. Just a little more heat to it. So what I've done when I hit the bump is I've kind of bypassed that tone stack that's over there. Now I just have a tone knob over here. This is the tone knob, which I have on about 7. I can't play guitar today at all. Now I can take the bump and, you know, let me swing it all the way over. 6 clicks, and you get the idea. More dirt. Turn these pedals off so you can get an idea. It's a little bright. Let me take the tone knob, roll it back to 5. Funk 49, yeah, it's kind of like that. That's really a Les Paul, I think. Probably too much dirt. Let's take the bump down to 4. Is that Christopher Williams? C. Williams 963? You get the idea. I'll turn the bump down just a hair on that. With that booster on too, we're really heating it up. Oh, Chad! Hey, Chad! Sorry. So, if you want to do the hardcore British thing, the harmonic, didn't I? We can turn this down, the little gain down. Actually, that song has a lot of compression on it. Let's do a little. He's a real nowhere man, sitting in his nowhere man. A minor. Nowhere, G sharp minor. Man, please, A major. Listen, you don't know G sharp minor. What's your A major? Nowhere man, F sharp minor. Well, is that your command? B down the major scale. reverb on that track? I can't remember. Put a little reverb. What's up with the 65 amps of power line for the active man on the go? Well, that's coming. I guess I should get into my little semi-announcement because it's not quite done yet, but I think it's pretty good. Let me do a little, you want to hear some P90s? Want to hear the Elliott Tone Master that Peter designed? Yeah, we are going to do apparel. I get so many requests for clothes. It's unbelievable. I should almost go into the apparel business, I think, and just make a few amps to support it. I think I could sell quite a bit of apparel. It's pretty hilarious. I know I'll need to tune this guitar up. I haven't played it in a while. And the strings are done dead. Yeah, there's a big positive reaction. Like, look at, bumper stickers, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. I appreciate you asking. I'm flattered. But we'll make it work somehow. I'm going to try to do that. Oh, this was tuned into Open G. So this would be good, contrasting pickup so you can see how the amp really responds. The SoHo, by the way, is one of our most popular amps on tour. The SoHo's really versatile, really tough. This one's just kind of loud. And so putting the master voltage on it, and you still have the half power. So you can get 4 tubes or 2 tubes and the master voltage. This is kind of an odd bird. Yeah, if you guys want to buy amps, I'll give you a t-shirt. Somebody wants to PayPal me the money for this today. I got my email open over here. I'm looking for dan@65amps.com. Ustream Pro Broadcasting usage notification. Oh my God, we got a big show today. They're going to hit my credit card. Huh. Let me get this guy settled down here. There it goes, drifting a bit. It's close. It's probably going to drift a bit because I haven't played it in a while. On a serious note, can someone buy it before I max my credit card? My wife murders me, please. No. Max out your credit card. I'll talk to your wife. Seriously, I'll talk to her. Put her on the phone. I'll explain it to her. You're getting a Rode amp. I mean, this is a serious working musician amp. We don't even really sell these in dealers because they're so expensive. That pros use them. And this one's got so much DNA on it. For $1,000 off. You can't lose money on this deal. Now I should have done the Peter Stroud tuning because you've got the... Can sing that high. Clifton Bolger, I am sorry. The speakers are our standard 212 cabinet. This is the G12H30 and the Alico Blue, which is one a lot of you guys already own. 16 ohm cabinet. Almost always, unless I announce it, that's the cabinet I'll be using. So. I belong long way from him. Yeah, Freddie Mercury can do that. That's right. Too bad he's not with us. Alan Ashcroft in the Leicester Midlands asks, on a tech note, how does the EF86 differ from a 12AX7 as an input valve? Excellent question. Two major ways. One of which is it's a pentode, which means it has 5 elements. So it's kind of like a little power tube. And it originally was an output tube and used in, headphone amplifiers. In the British military, I think, is where it got started in World War II. To get very clear sounding headphones while they were in battle, the EF86 was used. So it has a cathode, a control grid, a screen grid, and a suppressor grid, and the anode, or the plate, like a power tube does. So what you get there is literally 10 times the gain that a 12AX7 has. Now, a 12AX7 are 2 sets of triodes. So it's a cathode, a control grid, and an anode or plate. There's a pair of those inside of a 12AX7. If you look inside of a 12AX7, I have one right here, you can see that there's, I'll get this camera to focus on it. You can see that there's 2 things going on there. I don't know if I have an EF86 here or not. I can get one. That's a good point. I should have an EF86 here to show, because it's one of my favorite tubes. You can't see the 5 elements in it. Yeah, I don't have one here. Sorry. Let's heat this thing up real quick. See what you do. Oh, I still have the pedals on. Let's just go straight. Nice sour note there, huh? Yeah, HMS Hood, it has more gain, but you can adjust the gain, that's what the volume knob does. So, and the circuit, you set, the gain of the tube in your circuit. So you don't have to gain this tube up very hard like you do a 12X7. It is a very, very sensitive tube, and it rattles a little bit. So now this one's pretty quiet, but they do make a little bit of noise. They're not a quiet tube like a 12AX7 is. 12AX7 is more of a guppy, This one's a little more of an angelfish. Yeah, Amex is great. I'll take an Amex today, no problem. Death Ride 69. That's a great handle. I love that. Yeah, I have a few amps I can sell this way. I also have a marquee. I just don't have it ready today. It's one of the first marquees. I've got a Stone Pony that was a loaner, and what else? I got to go look. I got 3 more amps. Yeah, we're gonna move the shop, so I need to raise some money to, rent trucks and stuff like that. It's expensive to move. We're staying here in LA, but it's a long story. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. I think a certain metal fabrication shop might need some new public address equipment. Amex okay? Oh, I know who you are. Were you my friend who was here? Yes, you are. The Ventura is one loud mofo, by the way. Yes, sir, Death Ride. You've got my number. Or if you want to just PayPal it to me, it's fine. Dan at 65amps.com. And I will hold it for you. It's yours. And this is exactly what you're going to get. Also, Miles will blueprint this for you. And someone asked earlier, what does the blueprinting involve? So let's go down that route a little bit. Before I forget, there's one other sound with this guitar you can just do perfect if you're into Sheryl Crow at all. I think there's a little bit of, there's some echo on that, the way he does it. This is such a good song. That's such a good rhythm lick, isn't it? You know who played that on the record? Wendy Melvoin, who was Wendy and Lisa from Prince's band, right? She's one of the resident producers over at Henson and good friends with Sheryl. And Wendy's just got the groove. Man, if you listen to that record, it's just, you know, that's such a good rhythm lick. Screwed up. Don't you know that perfect ending to the bad day? And then this C and then glissando up into that B minor. That is Favorite Mistake from Sheryl Crow's second record called Sheryl Crow. I think that's 1996, which has a lot of hits from Sheryl on there. Back when Sheryl wasn't so mainstream, she was a little more of a classic rocker, you know. There's that song. There's the one other one I was playing, the If It Makes You Happy. And then there's Change Will Do You Good, which I think is... Great stuff. It's a great record. Pop rock record. Then Sheryl kind of decided to go a little more mainstream after that and reached a different audience. But... that was, yeah, Soho could do some good Radiohead. Unfortunately, I don't know any Radiohead. I listen to Radiohead and just get immersed and never learn it, if you know what I mean. Wow, we have a huge crowd. I'm getting email after email about usage from Ustream here. This is hilarious. We got a big crowd. I went from 80% of my... usage to 100%, just this show. A Doobie Brothers chord. Ping Paisley, I'm going to answer that, I'm sorry. that sort of thing. Then there's also other one that's in E. When the sun comes up on the sleepy little town. Yeah, I can't remember how the keep playing, you're gonna burn one. Oh, I like that. I don't know a lot of Doobie stuff. I used to when I was a kid. Let's see if I can remember some of it. Okay, phase inverter question. Been asked 3 times, and I've neglected to answer it. I apologize. Does the type and quality of the phase inverter tube make a huge difference in the sound? You know, again, I'm going to give you a sort of prevaricating answer here. Yes and no. The amp will still sound okay with a random tube in there. Depending on your phase inverter circuit, it makes a big difference. If you have a long-tailed pair phase inverter, like a Marshall or a Fender, it won't make that much difference. If you have a half-wave phase inverter like this one does, it makes a big difference. On a long-tailed pair phase inverter, which is kind of the standard that people use, the signal just comes in on one triode. On a half-wave phase inverter like this, the phase inverter is split. It comes across. It's a split load phase inverter, half-wave, concertina. There's a lot of different names for it. Now I got that song in my head. I played that in 7th grade, I think. Piano. Having a balanced phase inverter does make a difference, because even though the signal's not coming in on both sides of a long-tailed pair phase inverter, it will affect the sound. Now, there is some discussion about whether you should have them perfectly balanced or not. If you look at a Fender type circuit, they intentionally skew the phase inverter a little bit, and it creates this sort of difference that gives it a little bit of texture. If you have it perfectly balanced and the circuit's perfectly balanced, it'll tend to sound a little clinical when you're playing clean, but the distortion will be better. I like to use the half-wave phase inverter everywhere I can because it's got more content to it. Go dry again. If you guys are considering buying this amp, you need to hear it dry. So Oh, Pink Paisley. Okay, I was just. Are you in? Are you in the UK? I think you told me, but I can't remember. I was actually talking about the phase inverter in the Ventura. I just bought some fantastic NOS 6v6s from Watford Valves. Great. Tell Derek I said hi. And thinking about changing the tubes in the front end as well. Well, I always encourage people to experiment. Experimenting is fun. And there's no really accounting for taste. You know, we all hear. Oh, Pink Paisley. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Du lebst in Deutschland. Entschuldigen Sie bitte. Just play around. Some people like different kinds of tubes. I think you'll have a lot of fun experimenting. The 12AY7 that's in there is a really good one. That's a General Electric, new old stock. We have access to thousands of those still here in the U.S. So that's a great one. The EF86 you might want to play around with. See what you can find. There's a few distinct different ones out there for NOS. The Mullards always sound really good. The Telefunken EF806 is also good. That tube can tend to ring a lot because it's got a different sort of plate structure on it. It doesn't have the true mesh around it. It's just got a plate with a hole in it. So there's the Mullard, the Telefunken, the Dario is a really nice tube. It's pretty high gain. So if clean headroom is what you're looking for, it might not be your best choice. It still works great. You just turn the dial down, on the amp. The Amperex sound really good, but yeah, the Dario Mini Watt, that's right. The Amperex sound fantastic, but they're super high gain. They are dirty, dirty tubes. But they rock. So if you want some crunch out of that amp, an Amperex would be the way to go. My humble opinion. The old Tesla RFTs, not the regular Teslas, but the RFTs, which are the military ones. Those sound killer. We used to use those in our amps for a few years. I had a good line on them, one of whom was Derek at Watford Valves. And then they just disappeared. Which that kind of sounds a little bit like... We need some echo for that, don't we? That's a perfect song for today, isn't it? Here's to the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah, the JJ803S. Yeah, we talked about the phase inverter on the Ventura. The JJ803S is a really bright, cool tube, but it doesn't have a lot of bottom end. On the other side, on the long plate, is the Electro-Harmonix LPS. It has a lot of bottom end, not real bright. The tongue saw reissue from Electro-Harmonix is a good phase inverter tube because they tend to come out pretty balanced for some reason. If you want to go NOS, I would really, you can't go wrong with Mullard and Telefunken. Or RCA black plates, or the original tongue saws. Like this tube. I had this up last week. This is the original tongue saws from the 50s and 60s. They sound incredible. Phone's ringing. Yeah, the Sovtech is Electro-Harmonix. I'm sorry. For those of you that don't know, Electro-Harmonix makes the tongue sol reissue, the Sovtech tubes. They have their own Electro-Harmonix as well, and they've got some Mullard branding they've done. Alan, you're so correct, and I haven't answered you. I'm just here goofing off. But I still want to do... all that stuff. This amp's just a British bad boy. I love it. I mean, for you Brits, you're probably just laughing. Like, oh, this is a Yank with this is a British thing. But I lived in England for a while, and man, I heard it, you know. And as you probably know, we're very big fans of British rock and roll here, so. Why don't you all fade away? All that stuff. Probably too dirty, isn't it? Roll. Back just a hair and play it right. I haven't gotten tired of playing that since I learned it in like 8th grade. I can't remember the beginning now. I can't remember the beginning. But just that whole thing. Okay, I went on a Who tangent. Let's explain blueprinting an amp really quick, and that was what we'll do here. Miles will do it for us. When you blueprint an amp, what you're basically going to do, if you can come here in person, it really helps. If you can come here in person, then we can match the tubes. Oh, you guys need links. Here, hang on a second. Let me turn the links on. Your links are getting censored, Doug. Now try it again. Repost it. You'll be able to do it. When you blueprint an amp, we're going to make sure the tubes are perfect. And we're going to do a lot of measurements on the tubes that you don't normally do. I don't have the time to do it. It's also impossible to find enough good tubes to do this on every amp, but it takes about 3 hours. And what we're going to do is we're going to curve trace a set of preamp tubes for you. And based on your playing style, we're going to have to interview you if you can't come here in person about how you play, what kind of guitars you play and all that stuff. And we're going to find a set of preamp tubes that are perfect for you. And they're also going to be as perfect as we can pull out of our stock, which is usually pretty good. And we're going to get you a perfectly matched spec set of power tubes, which these are already. We've got a good set of power tubes in here, but I just put in new tubes this morning. And then we're going to figure out what works the best for you, and we're going to make sure we've got it just right. And then we're going to document it so that for now and forevermore, you can go to Miles's website, which Doug Gillum just put up. I think Doug says Gillum. Doug Gillum. I'm sorry, I just kind of pronounce it how it looks. I'm going to lean back in my chair and stretch out my back a little bit here. We will have it on file. So if you call us down the road and say, hey, my EF86 is whatever, or 12X7 went bad or whatever, then we know exactly what kind of tube that you want, because we have a scoring and, number system here for the different variations on tubes that exist, which are huge. William, right. Okay, I'm sorry, Doug. I always want to pronounce people's names correctly because I have a funny last name. So we will be able to reproduce that for you perfectly. You don't have to go through the randomness of going to Guitar Center or something and just buying tubes and hoping that they're okay. It's a very valuable, extremely valuable, let me get the mic here so I can speak in a normal voice. It's a very valuable setup thing that I think most of you would find useful. Miles usually charges anywhere from $250 to $500 for that service, including the tubes. Your dad is Roger Guillaume. Yeah, Robert. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got one of those crazy French names, too. It's cool. It's really cool. And we're going to throw that in on this. So, are we getting any takers? I know I got one guy interested. I'm looking at my email, but I can definitely do an Amex. It's no problem. Get rid of all my junk mail here so I can see what's going on. Easy Obesity Fighter, credit check. Guitar World, keep that. Cheap insurance, private jet charter, not today. E-online business system, no, that's junk mail. Simply Inc., junk mail. iPhones for $40, junk mail. Reflux Remedy, junk mail. PayPal sent. Boom. Thank you. I don't see it yet. Maybe it's in my junk. Let me look. Junk mail. I don't see it. When did you send it? Well, anyway, I'll take your word for it. Because I know you. Done and done. That's cool. Thank you. And sincere thanks. Looks like Death Ride got it. Yeah. Should we do another one tomorrow? I can do another one tomorrow. I got a marquee out there that I can move. It's one of the very first ones too. It's really nice. Congrats and yes. Okay. Yeah, if you guys want, I got a marquee out there. We're going to put the master voltage in it. This belonged to a rock star in Japan, and when he upgraded, he traded it back in. It was from a gentleman in Japan named Tamio Okuda, who is sort of the Tom Petty of Japan. He's a very famous guy over there. Something like 12 straight #1 records. How about a Beat to Hell? I think I have an Empire McSex Stooges 5. It's in Nashville. I think I have a Nashville Empire. I'll make you one, Rock and Roll Willie, if you want. An Empire and a Stone Pony in Nashville that Brendan Benson used on a tour, and they're still just sitting there, and they were a couple of my loaners. You want me to do this tomorrow? No, the Empire's made. The Marquis we don't make anymore. I mean, I'll make it if you pay me up front for it. Mm. Well, jealous, but glad you sold it. Thank you, Alan. I'm lucky. I'm a very fortunate guy. I'm very. I don't see the PayPal. That's weird. I'm sure it'll come through. And I know who I'm talking to here, so we can talk on the phone. And I can run that. Let me get through all my junk mail here. Boom, Ziff Davis deals. Verbatim flash drives. I don't want that. Sorry, I got two computers here, so. I got Republican friends dying. Oh, I'm getting these sad notes from Republican friends. It's not that bad. It's not. Yeah, just the address is right above me there, Death Ride. It's Dan at 65amps.com. Oh, I feel bad for my Republican friends today. Um, oh, he's so bitter. That's unfortunate. Well, it's the end of the country, yes. People say, I want my country back. And I say, I want my rock and roll back. Country's still there in Nashville. Get it? I want my country back. I want my rock and roll back. Where's rock and roll? Someone stole my rock and roll. I mean, the Stones are 50th anniversary. Come on. Where's the rock and roll? I knew Josh would appreciate that one. I'm sort of a centrist, you know. And I'll tell you why. We can go off on a tangent for a minute. My degree is political science. And political science is the study of the numbers and the math and the probabilities and the social aspects and the legal aspects of politics. You know, it's sort of a 360 view of politics. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, so it's a good degree to get if you want to be a lawyer. But behind politics, there are a lot of numbers and statistics and trends and probabilities, and you know, you give factors to different elements of a campaign, and you try to figure out how it's going to work. So, one thing that I learned becoming a political science guy is that both parties are full of assholes and dishonest people, and they try to divide you with things that don't matter. For example, over here, people are worried about gay marriage while we are in the worst recession recorded. If it wasn't for some of the social safety nets here, this would be worse than the Great Depression. We would have soup lines again, and there'd be 50 million people out of work. But they want you to think about gay marriage, or should pot be legal, or it used to be flag burning, and you know, things that just don't matter. I mean, they're important social issues for some people, not for others. But what is important to everyone is that we prosper and we're safe, and you know, all these sorts of things. So politicians try to Black Country Communion. I have heard them; they are good. You want to get married to a female pot leaf? Right on. So anyway, my humble analysis is these elections just aren't that big of a deal, and the president's power gets really exaggerated. If you read the U.S. Constitution, for you folks who are not in the United States, it's only 3 pages long, and the people ascribe all this power to the president that he just doesn't have. For example, our president can't make law. Only members of Congress can introduce a bill into Congress that goes through committee after committee after committee, and then it has to get voted on by both houses with a decent majority to win. And then it goes to the president. He can sign it or not sign it, but he can't make law. So newscasters all over this country go, the president's going to make a law. He's never done it. It's never happened. The The president can't control tax rates. The president can't control the price of oil. The president cannot control the fluctuations that are going on in the EU right now. The president can't control China. No one can control China. Even China can't control China. He can make a lot of speeches and say, we're going to fight and we're going to call them names and we're going to do all this stuff. But China's 5 times the population of the U.S. We can't do these things. Executive orders are good, Doug, but he can't do executive orders for much, and most of them don't last. So the president is very powerful and maybe the most powerful politician in the world. But he's not that powerful. So I don't think, if anybody had a magic wand and could fix this economy, they'd do it, because you could get elected God if you could fix this economy right now. I am Dan Boul. I have a magic wand, and I'm only going to use it unless you give me everything I want for the rest of my life. And everybody would go, yeah, sure, whatever you want, no problem. So to suggest that anyone in power isn't trying hard or doesn't have the country's interest in mind, it's just kind of silly. And that's what politicians tell us to get us to fight each other so they can get your money. And so we're all in a bad spot. The United States is in a bad spot. The EU's in a bad spot. Middle East is in a very bad spot. Blah, 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 blah. So there's my humble soliloquy. So for my Republican friends out there, don't worry. It's not that bad. And Obama can't really do much. He's going to try. I don't think Mitt Romney could have done much either, other than probably get more cooperation from Congress, but you got to split Congress. So yeah, Mitt Romney would have cooperated with the Senate better, with the House of Representatives better, but the Senate would have fought him tooth and nail. So it's very sad. We're all in this together is the bottom line. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, we all want to fix what's going on in the world, and we all want to see our kids safe, and we all want to make the world a better place and peaceful place and all these sorts of things. And we all want to get along with the Muslim world somehow. We all want to get along with China somehow. We all want to pay for our houses. We all want to get a new washing machine when it breaks down. We want to have the freedom to say and do what we want and all those things. 99% of our 99% of our concerns are all the same. So things like gay marriage or pot or some extraneous other shit don't really matter. It's the economy, stupid, as they famously said here for years. So there's one particular friend here who just wrote me a long note on instant message on Facebook, and he's very sad, and I'm sorry. Oh, it's so poor guy. He's really upset. I'm sorry. There's no need to be upset. In fact, we're all brothers. All of our European cousins over there, same thing. When Europe struggles, we struggle. And when we struggle, Europe struggles. And most of the people in the United States have European roots, even the Latinos, and unfortunately a lot of the African Americans too, because of our history of slavery. So that we learned from you Europeans. I don't know how that happened. So we're all in this together, and people are great, and even though we might disagree on 1 or 2% of our issues, we agree on 99% of it, which is all the important good stuff. So there you have it. I don't know about one world order, but oh, thank you, Death Ride. Yeah, you know what? I'll call you as soon as I'm done with the show. I think there is one world order that is important, and that's sort of peace, love, and understanding. Call me a hippie. A few of my favorite guys in the world said those things. Hippies, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Jesus. I think peace, love, and understanding are extremely important. And boy, we are lacking that right now, if you want my humble opinion. I'm sorry to preach. I know I'm losing viewers. Actually not. I'm retaining viewers. But the world isn't short of love right now. And definitely the world is not short of peace. And the world is not short of understanding. And that is the world order that I think is global. No global government. That's impractical. It's even arguable that we have one government in a country this big, or China or Russia. You know, it's hard to govern a diverse population like ourselves. We have a very diverse population, so it's pretty complicated to do our government here. And I know it's very difficult for people outside the United States to understand how diverse and large our country is sometimes, but it's weird. And even regionally here, people are really, really different, and it's hard. No politician can please everybody. Grab the telly. All right, let's do some telly. I'll get off the politics. I'm very sad. My friends are sad, though. I'm sorry. I got to say that. And if my Republican friend who's sending me a message on Facebook sees this, you know I love you. It's all right. And I think you'll be okay. Let's do some telly real quick and call it a day because Ustream is sending me tons. That's Death Ride calling. Ustream is sending me tons of emails saying they're going to charge my credit card. Wow. Let me tune it up really quick. You know, when people call the shop over and over and over again and no one answers, how do you think that makes me feel? So this is an Elliott Telecaster. The bridge pickup is actually a humbucker. It still sounds very telly-like. So on that respect, you have to forgive me for not having a super twang. This is a pickup a bunch of our Nashville artists were using, so I thought I would put it in a guitar so I could see what they're going on about, so I can make sure that our amps get along with it. But you'll get the idea. It still sounds like a telly. It's just not super twangy, twangy. Yes, Doug, the show is here in the shop. Yeah, this is my office in the shop, and then the shop's just on the other side of this wall. This is just a really thin, flimsy, wooden plaster wall. And the cabinet's out there facing the other direction, away from me. The cabinet's probably 15 feet from me, 20 feet beyond the other side of that wall, facing the other direction. Heat this up for single coils. It's too dirty, isn't it? Let's go back down to the lower gain setting. Got to teach us those chords? Sure, it's just B and F sharp. Well, no down, bitchin', you know my feet itching. Don't you know the deuce is still wild? So it's F sharp with a suspension. Back to B. Baby, anyway, you got to roll me. Call me to tumbling down. This is still a B, but I'm playing it like it's a G chord, right? Is that what you're talking about? So you take a G, move it up, right? Up to B. I'm not hitting the top strings, I'm muting them. So it's just a G. You got to play it with your pinky and your ring finger and then bar across with your index finger. Keith plays an open G a lot, so the only way you can really play a Stones tune in standard tuning is to do that. I can go down. So that's open G, and I'm going to capo and B. That's it, you know. You've got all the Stone stuff, yeah. How's it go? I know, I'm thinking of, let's see, Jumpin' Jack Flashes in standard tuning. Little middle position. All that thing. That's some Stones, boys. Take the capo off. You've got go back to standard tuning. So open G, you just drop the A down to G, right? I'm taking it back up to A. You take the D down to E, so I'm going to pull that back up. You take the high E down to D. I'm going to pull that back up. If I put the capo back on, then you've got, oops, I got to put the capo on correct instead of backwards. No, that's up here. That's right. Let me get this straight. Wait a minute. Oh, I was just playing it too. I can't remember. See through the microphone, can you? I met a stone hooker on Lancashire. Yeah, that counts, Cliff. I think so. playing E, A, and D. You know, I just got it capoed up at B. This is the inside the Rolling Stones trick, but it's up and Jack Flash. It's a gas, gas, gas. Also in B is, whoops. Yeah, that's it. Neck pickup. Let's see if I can get this right. Stuff. It's really simple. You know, you go to D and then pull off the second finger. Go to A. And then repeat it. And lots of this Keith Richards stuff, right? Guys, it's getting late. But anyway, thank you for listening to me goof off. Aerosmith. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys want to do these amp auctions? I'll get another one up tomorrow. Would you guys show up if I did that? Think it would be good? Good thing to do? I've got to raise cash this week, so. Regarding moving, we're going to move to a large building and share space with a bunch of other MI companies. Because as you guys noticed, I had to do a pretty significant price increase, and I got the reaction I thought I would get from it. You know, some pissed off people. Some people don't care. The rich guys go, whatever, I don't care. You know, amp's an amp. Oh, I cut my fingernail doing that, hitting that guitar so hard. We are going to move down to Huntington Park. My office is going to stay up here, and I'm going to do my show up here in the valley because that's where all the musicians are. But we're going to rent out space in a 125,000 square foot building, and we're going to be able to share overhead with a couple of other really, really well-known companies that I can't talk about yet. It's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. The amp market is bloody, 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 and my wholesale costs have gone through the roof. So some of those price raises I had to do just to not lose money. I know it's hard to imagine that at these prices people lose money, but when I sell through a dealer, the dealer's got to make about a third on these amps or it's not worth their time. So yeah, Miles is going to stay here with me. I'm going to be up here. I'm just going to be down there managing the production a lot, but my office is going to stay up here. I'm going to rent a studio here, a really small studio with the sound booth so I can keep doing my show and have artists on and all these sorts of things. It's good. So what I'm going to try to do is cut my costs. Also, since I'm going to be working with a couple other, like I said, companies you really know and really like, we're going to get some shared buying power and cut down expenses. So my goal is to be able to get my prices back where they were, or at least not have to raise them again for years. Because it's brutal, it's painful. There's a lot of weird things going on in the MI market. The biggest retailer is locked down, and our boutique dealers are starving. Thank you, Paisley. I mean, a lot of people say that. Man, you know, and most people understand. You know, there were some of my amps where I was making $100 on them. Most notably the Ventura. From the time we designed it and spec'd it out the wholesale cost of the amp went up dramatically. So I didn't have a choice. I can't be homeless to sort of placate the people that don't want to pay for well-made amps. So I took a beating for that. I expected it. I got a lot of pretty unhappy people communicating with me. The wealthy guys, the upper end guys, they don't care. 2,500 versus 2,900, who cares? It's fine. But for a lot of people, especially in Europe and other countries, by the time it gets over there with VAT and shipping, you get to where these amps are 2 months' income or something. And that's hard. And I respect that, sincerely. I really do. I appreciate it. So we're going to make the right moves to adapt to the new market. You'll probably hear a formal announcement soon. We're finalizing the deal. So I can't really talk about it, but it's an extremely positive thing. The thing you should know, hey Tom, the thing you should know is our amps will not change at all. As a matter of fact, they might get better. They're going to be made by the same people, so these guys are moving down there. Where our rent's going to be nothing, and we're going to have our own space. Everything's made right there, and it's going to be fantastic. There's a few other companies that are going to be doing it as well. One of the things that's funny that happened after I raised prices is I've had 4 other amp makers. I lived in London, HMS Hood, in Fulham, SW6 in London. I had 4 other amp makers call me right after I raised prices and said, "Congratulations." I'm like, really? What are you talking about? Man, it's the scariest thing I've ever done. He goes, "No, you're the only guy who's got the balls to charge what you should charge. We're all going out of business." And I had 4 very prominent boutique amp makers. The ones that are real companies, not the guy that does it in his house, kind of thing, but the real boutique companies that'll be in business 5 years from now. Tell me that they have to raise prices accordingly as well. They've just been terrified to do it, and they're on the verge of bankruptcy if they don't, which is kind of what I was looking at. I tried to find investors to grow the company, get more buying power, all that sort of thing, do a marketing push. And man, there's no money around at all anymore. I had a couple nice people who gave me, small amounts of money, and that helped, kept the wolves away from the door. But in order to grow the company and pay these people back and all these sorts of things, we have to adapt. And considering that the largest retailer in the U.S. is on lockdown right now, or at least it's well, they're not on lockdown. It's just tough. I know you notice the CEO of this company stepped down, and it's a tough economy. It's a very, very, very bloody economy for everyone involved. So everyone's got to adapt, and the companies that we're going to be working with down there, you're going to love it. It's going to be a cool brain trust, neat thing. And these companies have been in business for a long, long time. So they're real companies. It's not the guys making amps out of their garage or something. A lot of these boutique guys, and I went through the same cycle. You start off selling amps a little cheaper than everyone else because you make them yourself. And then the minute you have to become legal, like we're a California S corporation, I have to pay taxes and accountants and lawyers, and I have to buy expensive insurance and all the overhead that comes with running a real business. And then I have to hire a bookkeeper, and then I need to hire a sales guy. Once you start doing that, you realize you can't sell amps for $1,500 and make a dime. You can't really sell amps for $2,000 and make a dime. These parts are extremely expensive. In order to run it legally, I have to have insurance in case one of you guys gets hurt. You might want to ask people if they're buying an amp from them, you have insurance. My insurance costs $9,000 a year. And I don't have amazing coverage. I have good coverage, but I don't have amazing coverage. Most people pay $20,000 a year. I have to pay taxes, all those sorts of things to stay legal. I have to file corporate paperwork every quarter. I have to pay the Board of Equalization for sales tax stuff. Um, I don't play any games. And I think it's, you live in Horley. All right, excellent. When you're spending this much money on an amplifier, I think that has value, in my humble opinion. You're going to spend, for some people, which is, a month's pay on an amplifier. It should be important to you that A, it's built correctly. It's built by someone who's going to be in business. There's the phone. I think that's Nam calling, actually. Um, so, Carl from. So a $3,000 amp needs to be, yeah, 2-3 months pay, exactly. An amp that you spend that much money on, you want to be able to have it fixed a few years from now. You want to believe that it's safe. And you want to believe that the people behind it are going to be around for years. That costs money. There's no way around it. Trust me, if I could make hand-wired amps and sell them for $1,500-$1,600 that were good, I would do it. I'd be the richest guy in the world because nobody sells a great amp for $1,500, or at least not a company that's going to be in business for long. I have international liability as well because we do a lot of business overseas. There are things that are important. And thank you, Rock and Roll Willie. I appreciate it. It's hard to explain this to people. People get very emotional. They go, "That son of a bitch, he's robbing us." And that's just not the case. Nobody gets rich in this business. It's a labor of love. And to be honest with you, I'm broke, dude. I had to raise prices. I mean, I got kids and I got a mortgage and all these sorts of things. And I think it's fair to ask to make a living from this. I'm not getting rich. I drive an old Honda van with a dent in it. It's 8 years old. And I wear jeans and t-shirts and shorts all the time. And I'm not getting rich at all. No one's pulling anything off on you. No amp company is. But there's a lot of serious aggressive pressure, especially in the forums. I'm going to be delicate here. The forums, people call you names. And they do all these things. And they think, well, this amp costs $300 to make, and he's charging this much for it. Well, here's the facts. My transformer sets cost $260, $270 just for the transformers. Cabinets cost $200, $250, depending on what it is. That's not even tubes and parts. That's just the basics. Celestion speakers cost money. And then I have to pay rent and pay all these things and overhead and salaries, and then get them to a dealer, and the dealers have to make a living too. They need to make 30% on it, or it's not worth their time. So no one's robbing you. And I don't know any boutique dealers that are rich. These guys work their asses off. They're in there 7 days a week. And they suffer a lot. So, that's what it is. You do the math. It's a good deal getting an amp for $3,000, at least one that's made this well. Now I could make it overseas and it would be what it is. But that's not what I do. It's not interesting to do that. If I could get good transformers from China, I'd buy them. I can't. I've tried them. I'll be honest with you guys. I'll open the kimono here. I have so many of my competitors say, dude, why are you paying that much for those parts? I'm like, well, because they sound better and they last. They don't break. Oh, no, I got this great transformer from Spedinky Doink in China. I'm like, all right, let me try it. And I play it and go, this sounds awful. Yeah, but it only costs $23. I'm like, well, it's not worth half that. It's horrible. Yeah, but you can't sell an amp, I'm like, yeah, you can. I mean, I'm not selling throwaway shit. It is what it is. So I'm sorry that it is. One of the things I'm going to try to do by moving like this is uh, getting some joint buying power, and that will allow me to drop my build costs somewhat. Um, a lot of good companies share board components and wire and tube sockets and all these sorts of things. Import Bugaras and stick a logo. No, thanks. That will drop my costs significantly, and then we're going to share things like a shipping bay, and we're going to share phone bills, and we're going to hey Paul. Oh, I'm just ending a discussion about the cost of building amps. We're going to share a receptionist. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to share an accountant. We're going to try to cut our overhead dramatically so that we can, try to cut the pain for you guys and make it work. The MI market, like I said, is just absolutely bloody, 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 bloody brutal. And you're going to see a lot of amp companies go out of business next year. And you're going to see a lot of them go bankrupt. And you're going to see a lot of them take their stuff overseas and try to convince you that it's the same amp. Well, it's not. If I could build it overseas, I would. Trust me, I'm not a snob. If I could make something good overseas, I would do it because I know there's money. This is a good question. King Darko asked, Dan, what would you like more? Someone investing in your amp company or a new tube factory? You mean someone's going to give me a new tube factory? I'll take it. Yeah, it's, I'd take the tube factory. The investment that I need in the company is pretty large. To grow it, we're as big as a boutique amp company is going to get without a lot of investment. And it's tough being this size in today's market, because if something goes wrong, my cash flow goes and banks don't want to talk to me because I don't want $5 million. That seems to be the magic number now. If I can go to anybody and say $5 million, they'll talk to me. But I don't need 5 million. I don't even need $1 million. But I need a few $100,000. Realistically. So it is what it is. What is this? Luke Davis. Can I buy it, Dan? What is he talking about? Luke, if you're watching, unfortunately I sold it already. I got it sold. I'm going to ring it up. So anyway, that's what's going on. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited about moving and making this move. I've wanted to do it for a while because it just makes sense. I mean, there's all these little guys here in the valley. Thank you, Marco. And yeah, let's do it tomorrow. I'll dig up another amp for tomorrow. The Marquee's awesome. You'll love that. That thing's killer. Just too expensive for us to sell in stores. People don't want to pay $3,500 for a real head, so that's what they cost. Doesn't mean making no money either. Yeah, anyway, so I'll quit ranting. Boy, we got a big crowd today. This is good. Are there any other questions before I go get some lunch? Because it's almost 2 o'clock here on the West Coast in the United States. And Danny hungry. Danny want to make food go bye-bye, turn to poop. Tell us about the Marquee. Well, the Marquee is sort of a hopped up, steroided big brother to the London. Same time. Yeah, that's right. Very different circuit than this, even though it does have 4 EL84s in it. But it's a really different, it's very aggressive, cool, raw, just whang, cool amp. It's good. This was a lot more refined and diverse, whereas the Marquee is just a boosh. It's cool. Steve Kirk said, hey, Steve, I didn't know you were here. My producer is the best amp I've ever played or heard. More than worth the cost. Thank you. Thank you. So the Marquee, yeah, we're going to raise some cash, buddy. Got to do it. Got to move. I'm going to try to get it done by the end of the year. So also, if there's anyone here in Los Angeles that knows of a good little lockout studio I can rent, hopefully in the East Valley or Hollywood, Toluca Lake, Studio City, North Hollywood, Valley Village, Burbank. That would be great. That'd be great. Rock and Roll Willie, no, Rich Robinson was using a Royal Albert, which I have one of those too. Maybe we can do a Royal Albert. That's probably a good idea. We'll do the Royal Albert and the Marquee. And but anyway, there you have it. That's the news from the world. But anyway, again, last call for questions. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And we'll do this. We'll make it work. Cool. Thanks, Dan. Enjoy your lunch. See you soon. One day I'll have a 65. Well, Alan, let me know. Our dealer in England, there's a lot of English guys here, is Chandler's in London. Talk to Neil or Al at Chandler's. I just spoke with them this morning. Thank you, Frank. Good to see you, buddy. Yes, Neil and Al at Chandler's in London. Great dealer for us. Good guys, and they're actually guitar players that gig. Can you imagine such a thing? Somebody that sells high-end gear that actually plays music. What is this, Doug? Is that one? I saw this one before. Oh, those are just rehearsal spots. I need a lockout, a recording studio lockout, so I can do my show. Unfortunately, rehearsal space won't work. I need to have a sound booth, you know, like you would have in it. Like a vocal booth is fine, just where I can put an amp. Cheers, Alan. I appreciate you coming by. We have such a nice international crowd today. I think, if I remember correctly, we have England, Canada, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Holland, Australia, Argentina. I'm at what, 8 countries now, plus the United States, of course. Anyone here from any of those other countries that I missed? That's 9 countries right now. Yeah, Alan, talk to Chandler's. Those guys are great. And they're really good about returns. You know, like they'll let you have a test period on the amp and all that stuff. They're really, really good guys. They've been dealers with us for a long time, too. They're very reliable. Pick the phone, Obama. It's Obama. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's old. Hang on a second. Cool, cool, cool. Well, fellas, thank you again. It's November 7th. I'm going to go ahead and take off and get some lunch. So give me a call, give me an email, hit me on Facebook, whatever you need. And I will see you tomorrow with either a Marquee or a Royal Albert. All right. Take care, fellas. Bye-bye.